Hey everyone. So in today's video, I'd like to share with you the 20 games that are my favorite games of all time. Now, coincidentally, these are also the games that I think are the best that I've ever played. So that said, I can't wait to share this list with you, and let's get to it. So the first game I'm going to talk about, I think everyone has at least encountered at some point in their lives. It is Super Mario Brothers 3. Now, I grew up and the NES was first introduced when I was a young child, and I remember playing Super Mario Brothers, the first one, a lot, and I really liked number 2 when that came out, even though it technically wasn't a Mario game. It was just kind of a rinse and repeat of a Doki Doki game where they slapped the Mario branding on it. But Super Mario Brothers 3, this was really special. So it came at the end of the NES's life cycle, the tail end, I should say. The graphics really pushed what the system was capable of. The whole thing with Mario having the cap on his head and being able to fly, the little storybook approach to the levels and the map of how you can go different routes and pick where you want to go. This game was just outstanding. And I had so many great times playing this game. I used to wake up and look forward to playing it on Saturday or Sunday mornings when I was home from school and just spend hours in the morning playing it. Great game then, still a great game today. Holds up really well. And if you somehow have never played Super Mario Brothers 3, highly recommend you play this game. Now, another game that came out in the early 90s, this is Donkey Kong Country for the Super Nintendo. Now, I have fond memories of this one too, going to my friend's house. I didn't own a Super Nintendo at the time, but I'd go over there and we'd play this all the time. We did the little co-op mode where one of us would be Donkey Kong, the other would be Diddy, and I remember doing the little hand slap thing to tag in and out. This game, it was and still is just phenomenal. It really holds up well today. I mean, the level design, the colors, the graphics, the music, the soundtrack. I mean, there's a reason why this was relaunched, re-released on the Switch most recently. Outstanding game and a really, really fun platformer. Probably one of the best platformers ever made, if I'm being honest. And another great platformer for the Super Nintendo, Super Mario World. Now, this game here, it took everything that was awesome about Super Mario Brothers 3 and just built upon that. Again, I loved playing this and exploring the map, finding all the different hidden areas or shortcuts, and how they introduced there were the power switches where you could go and hit a red block and open up a different path, hit a blue or green block, open up a different path. It was such a fun time playing through this. And then the whole thing with Bowser being on a ship that flew through the air and then having his children that served as sub bosses at each of the levels. And they each had different moves, maneuvers, personalities, names. I loved it. It was such a great time. And I had a lot of fun with this as well. In the mid 90s, there was a craze that started in Japan and made its way over here to North America. Everyone knows of it today, but at the time, it was just something being referred to as pocket monsters in the east and Pokemon out in the west. This is Pokemon Red. I remember before this game came out, I spent time reading every Nintendo Power magazine episode that came up through the launch of this, where it was just pumping up the story, the background, the whole idea of capturing these monsters, training them, going into battle, traversing the map, trying to become the best Pokemon trainer. And I remember at the time, I had never heard of a game like this at all. And I remember when it came out, I asked my mom to go get me Red because I wanted to have the Charizard version. And of course, Charmander is the first Pokemon I picked to start out as. And I remember just pumping so many hours into this on my Game Boy. It got to the point where I had numerous Pokemon that were level 100. I even started leveling up little weird ones that you never think, like an executor, or seeing how far I could take a magic carp before it could gain like really good moves or stuff like that, just to surprise people in battle. Like pull out a magic carp, it's level 100, and just completely body their Pokemon. Never be expecting that. So I even had Mew. I remember there was a kid at school that had Mew and was offering to do the whole glitch transfer with the Game Boy connector cable. And I paid him like $5 to get this Mew, and I remember taking like an Oddish and converting it over to a Mew through the glitch, and it was pretty cool being able to do that. And then, going back home to my neighborhood, going down the street, playing with my friends, and pulling out a Mew in battle. Like, oh my gosh, what is that? Um, I absolutely love this game. I spent so much time with it, and I still love playing it today. This is the one that started it all for me, and I have nothing but great things to say about Pokemon Red. Blue is also a very great game, but Red is the one that was the first one I ever got. Okay, so also around this time, 1996, Nintendo released the Nintendo 64. And with it, one of the launch titles that came out, Super Mario 64. Now, I gotta say, this is my favorite Super Mario game of all time. I love it so much. I even bought a copy of it on the DS, and I bought a copy of it for the Nintendo Switch as well. Now, this game, wow, the whole thing where you could go through and just explore, at the very beginning, you see Peach's castle, you go in, she's missing, you jump through the paintings. You've got the three different iterations of Bowser that you have to battle throughout the castle, and then all the little nuances they put into the game, all the different game mechanics, the different worlds, tick-tock clock, and the magic carpet in the rainbow cloud world. I forget the name of it, and the water levels and stuff, the snow levels. They did things with this game that, oh my gosh. And I spend all my time playing and going through to get all the stars on every map. And I remember too when I finally got all of the stars in the game, I think it was 120 total. And the little cannon would come up out of the ground. You could shoot up to the top of Peach's castle and finally meet Yoshi, and he gave you a crap load of extra lives. Outstanding game. It is the reason why I bought a Nintendo 64 and became such a huge Nintendo 64 fan. And, I'm not just blinded by nostalgia here. I go back and play this game again today. It is still an outstanding game today. And I absolutely love it. It's one of my favorite games ever made. Now, speaking of games that came out for the Nintendo 64 that I really loved, this could very well be the greatest game of all time, the GOAT. This is Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. I also have a copy of it here for the 3DS as well. I've recently played it on this 3DS version, went through it and beat it again. I loved every moment of it. Now, I gotta say, growing up as a kid playing this game, I remember there were little frustrations like the water temple. I feel like nostalgia is harsher to the water temple than what the actual reality of it is. I went through and played as an adult here, and the water temple wasn't really as hard as I remember it being. Now, as a kid, I also remember going through all the special side quests to upgrade the Master Sword into that big Oron sword and doing all the little side missions to get that. I absolutely loved what they did with the whole Temple of Time and being able to traverse forward or backwards 7 years and how the world completely changed. I love the ocarina. I love the songs, the music in this game. It is a perfect game. I'm about to go play it again, to be honest with you. That's how much I love this game. Definitely my favorite Zelda, and in my opinion, I'd probably say this is the best game ever made, greatest of all time. Now, while I was in my Nintendo 64 phase, another game that I spent a lot of time with, have a lot of great memories with, GoldenEye 007. So this game, I remember, not only do I remember the multiplayer aspects of it and how much fun I had playing death matches with my friends, but I was that guy that during my summer breaks from school when I was home alone, I would play through the campaign and unlock every mission on the double O agent setting, but I would also go through and work to unlock every cheat. So I remember some really hard ones like going through the archives on double agent mode in under a minute and 20 seconds to unlock like the invincibility or something. And there's another one to unlock invisibility. And they were so hard. I remember that one in the archives. I think I played through it like 100 times in a row, just trying to get it right. I remember clocking in at like a minute 22, a minute 21. It took me so many efforts to finally come in under a minute and 20 because you needed things to happen just right on the map. And you weren't always certain, like, is there going to be a guard around the corner right here? Is there not? But, man. So this is a game where I played the game first, then I went back and watched the movie, and I became a bigger fan of the movie than I probably would have if I hadn't played the game. But, they recently re-released this thing on Xbox Game Pass. It's outstanding to play over there too. It's really fun. I still love starting out in the facility when you're up in the air duct and you gotta go down and you end up in the toilet stall in the bathroom and you go through that way. Really outstanding game. And I have a lot of great memories playing that as well. So another game that I really enjoyed during the summer breaks on Nintendo 64, sunk a lot of time in, perfected it, got, every unlockable in it. Banjo-Kazooie. This game, just pure gold in terms of platforming. It might be Rare's best game they made, honestly, at least for the platformers. So, you got these two great characters. You got Banjo the bear, who also made an appearance in Diddy Kong Racing. You got Kazooie the bird. And the whole premise is you're trying to save Banjo's kid sister, who's been kidnapped by this wicked witch. And you have to traverse all these different levels. It has a very Mario 64-esque style of play in that you've got these different like pictures, canvases, whatever on walls that are how you get to your levels. You like backflip into them or whatever. So I really like that about it. There were so many different level types to explore. You had like music notes you could collect. You had the jingos, you had jiggy pieces. Um, I sunk so much time into this, just making sure I did everything with it. And I loved it. I loved it so much. Now, sadly, I haven't played Banjo-Tooie yet. I've heard nothing but great things about that game. That might be something I do here soon. But Banjo-Kazooie, man, just so while the Nintendo 64 was hot and doing its thing, Sony's PlayStation 1 started to slowly gain speed and traction and become even more popular. Couple that with the fact that I was in my teenage years, I was looking for a little bit more mature type of gameplay, plus just talking to your friends on the school bus and stuff. Um, you don't always want to be the one talking about Nintendo at the time. Again, that's just adolescent stuff and going through puberty, boys being boys, teenagers, whatever. But at the time, I was seeking more adult oriented gaming content. And I gotta say, this game not only made me buy a PlayStation so I could play it, but it sucked me into the PlayStation ecosphere. That game is Metal Gear Solid. Um, wow. I spent so much time with this game. I remember the whole thing with the first time where you meet Psycho Mantis and he's like reading your mind and he's reading your memory card of all the games you've played and telling you about it. And that whole trick where you had to put your controller in controller port 2 so he couldn't read your mind and you could actually beat him. Wow, that was a game changer. The whole story driven aspect of it, like watching like movies in between the dialogue and stuff. Cyborg Ninja. The music was just outstanding too. The dun 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 dun. Dun. I love it. Got me really amped up. Going back, I played this recently, like in the last year or so, and it wasn't as difficult as I remember. I think you could speed run it and knock it out in a few hours, especially if you know what to do. I remember at the time though, there were the bandanas that you could get, like depending on if Meryl lived or died. I remember that part where you're being tortured by Ocelot. You had to like press the X or the circle button or something really, really fast and able to let her live and get the bandana for like invincibility or invisibility or whatever it was. I couldn't do it, so I had to get my friend up the street to come over and do it for me, and just watching him like mash the buttons and get it. But once I had that, that was so awesome to be able to go through and play the game again and be able to be like invisible and like people can't see me. Um, I loved it, and I still love this game to this day too. I love the spin-offs as well. I'm a big fan of, like, Metal Gear 4, and, I even like the Phantom Pain, even though the story's kinda broken, but this game is what got me hooked into PlayStation. It sunk its claws in good. And so once I'd spent ample time with Metal Gear Solid, I got sucked into this one, Final Fantasy VII. Now, I know they've done the remakes recently on PlayStation 5, and PlayStation 4. I gotta say, I still prefer this version. The reason why is because I feel like they've tried to add more story into the more recent ones, where, in my opinion, it didn't need more story. I didn't need to know more of the backstory and spend 40 hours in Midgard when probably spent maybe 2 hours there in this game. I remember too the whole thing with Sephiroth, Cloud, the storytelling, the chocobos, the materia. I loved this game, the combat system and everything in it, and exploring the world, finding everything there was to find. I have a lot of great memories playing this at night during my summer breaks, up until the wee hours of the morning, saving my game progress. Um, Outstanding game, and I still love it to this day. And then around that time, something funny happened. Microsoft decided to create a video game console and felt left out not having this game or playing it with my friends. So there's Halo, the original Halo. Now, this one here, this really, really shined in the multiplayer. I mean, the single player campaign is still outstanding and fun, but the multiplayer aspect and being able to play with four friends and even have the LAN parties and connect your TVs through the LAN. I remember once I was supposed to be studying with a group of friends on a Sunday for like a history test. And I showed up to the study event with a bag with the Xbox, the Halo game, and four controllers. And we just played the game all day. I didn't even study. And the next day we had the test and we all got like F's. And the teacher thought that you made the exam too hard, but really we just slacked off and didn't prepare for it adequately. Um, at the time I felt horrible, but looking back, I mean, it's core memories like that that really kind of like define adolescence or teenage years and growing up and core memories I have with my friends. Um, I love Halo and it's a lot of fun to play today too, even on the Master Chief Collection. Another great game that I first experienced on the Xbox, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. Now, this game, wow, I'm still talking about this one and thinking about it today. Now, admittedly, I wish that Disney would actually use inspiration from this game and make a modern movie because I think it's just fascinating what they did here. So, if you haven't played the game, the game begins when you wake up aboard a ship. You don't have any real memory of what happened. All that you know is there is some great battle going on between a Sith Lord and some Jedi, and that's how the game begins. So as you play through the game, you slowly start to realize that you have Force abilities. You train with the Force. You become a Jedi if you choose. Or what was interesting is there was a Force affinity where you could become either light or dark based on your actions. And the game allowed you to kind of influence some of your characters that you played with based on your decisions. And there's this huge thing at the end. I'm not going to spoil it if anyone out there hasn't played this game yet, but there's a huge plot twist at the very end where everything sort of comes back full circle and you have to make a decision as to whether you want to embrace the light side or turn your back on everything and go to the dark side. But I loved this game. I enjoyed playing the sequel to it as well, but I loved this one more because this just, man, the surprise element in there with the story and the ending and everything into it, and just exploring the different worlds and the storytelling, how it was completely removed from the Skywalker legacy. I loved this game. Another game that I loved, again, talking about my teenage years and being in high school, this game was way ahead of its time, and it's Grand Theft Auto 3. I spent a lot of time with this. I remember it was controversial at the time with politicians and the FCC trying to cancel this game, protests, and all sorts of petitions to get this thing discontinued or taken out of stores. I loved everything about this game. I sunk so much time into it. I even remember at the very, very end, they had that dodo plane. And if memory serves me correctly, they originally planned on this game having actual planes you could fly in, like the other GTA games. What happened though was that with September 11th, 2001 occurring, the developers and all basically decided, we're going to take proper airplanes out of this game because we don't want people to kind of copycat what happened there in this video game. So you have the dodo, which absolutely sucked. But I realized that when you get in it, once you take off, just by tapping down on the D-pad, you could keep that thing steady and actually fly. And I remember flying around the whole map with that stupid airplane that no one else could fly. And it was awesome when I figured that out. But yeah, I love the story about this. I love the characters. I love the side missions. I love the stupid pigeons throughout that you had to find if you wanted to go that route. I 100% completed this game. I hope to do it again on a more modern version of this game. I haven't bought the more recent ports with Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo Switch, but man, nothing but great times thinking about this game. Now, also around the time of GTA, we started to get into more games Rockstar was developing and putting out there. And when they announced basically GTA in the Wild West, I was psyched. I sunk so much time into Red Dead Redemption. Now, I know a lot of people today are going to say, oh, why aren't you including Red Dead Redemption 2? It's the better game. Maybe, that's debatable. Probably is, honestly. This is the game, though, that I sunk so much time in and have such fond memories with. Everything about it, just exploring the Wild West, going from the United States into Mexico, starting the gang wars, fist fighting people by train tracks, tying people up to train tracks, which is crazy they let you do that, fighting in the bars. Everything about this game was outstanding. I loved the story. I love the nightmare element where they brought like the undead DLC with it too. Um, yeah, for the longest time, when I was done getting my fill with some of these GTA games, I was pumping time into Red Dead Redemption and Red Dead Online, and I loved every minute of it there as well. So again, when I think of Red Dead Redemption games, this one reigns supreme to me, mainly because of the nostalgia that I have associated with it. Is Red Dead 2 the better game? Yeah, probably. I'll concede that, but this one is the one that's instilled in my core memories of video games and the one that I think of when I think of Red Dead Redemption. Now, since we're still talking about Rockstar games and we just mentioned Grand Theft Auto 3, let me talk to you about my love of Grand Theft Auto 5. And you'll see it here. Pretty much every modern console that it's on, I own it. And I have the PC version as well on Steam. I've not yet bought the PlayStation 5 disc for it or the Xbox Series S X discs, mainly because whatever. It's good enough when I take the PS4 version, put it in my PS5. But wow, Grand Theft Auto 5, I gotta say, when they first announced it and the whole three protagonist spin, I was a hater. I was like, this is gonna work. It's gonna be terrible. Stupid idea. Was I wrong? I really enjoyed the three different protagonists. I really enjoyed how they had separate storylines, but they all kind of intertwined and came together in a cohesive story element. I loved exploring the world. And for the longest time, I would have told you that GTA 4 was the game I preferred, mainly because I love New York City. The Los Santos environment at the time, I don't know if I fully appreciate it like I do now, but the Los Santos environment is outstanding. And then when you play it online too with friends and all the different DLC they built into there, the heists, the the waves of enemies coming at you where you have like survival missions and stuff, it's fun. It got to the point where I played this game so much with my friends, we stopped actually playing the game and we were just doing stupid stuff like how many airplanes can we land on this little small island off the coast of Los Santos, or how many cars can we transport over onto the island and just park there before they respawn? Or, can we make a bridge of cars across the water that you have to jump across or run across? All sorts of stupid stuff like that. I used to play with a buddy online, and I would strap a bomb, a remote bomb, onto the front or back of the car. I'd go to pick him up, but as I was picking him up, I'd bail out of the car and then detonate the vehicle, car bomb him basically. And that kind of became my signature when I was playing with friends. It was like, if I was coming to pick you up, was I really coming to pick you up, or was I coming to car bomb you? Um, but yeah, the memories I have with GTA 5, just some of the best gaming memories that I have of the last, 10 or 20 years. And it's an outstanding game. I honestly think it's a 10 out of 10 game. And I'm happy that it's still kicking today. I'm very excited for GTA 6, but I still love playing some GTA 5, I gotta say. Now, while we're talking about games that I own multiple copies of, let's see, which version of Skyrim do you prefer? Do you prefer the Xbox One version? Maybe the Xbox 360 is your jam? Ooh, do you like Skyrim in VR? Because I have that. Then we have PlayStation 4 Skyrim and PlayStation 3 Skyrim. But yes, Skyrim. To be honest, Oblivion was the first Elder Scrolls game that I played, and I loved Oblivion. Skyrim was the one where I really sat down and kind of parked my time and just got fully lost in exploring the world. I loved, all these games. The second I take the plastic off, complete the first mission or cutscene or whatever, and then I free roam, I immediately seek out to do the Dark Brotherhood storyline quests. I love doing that. I love the Thieves Guild. I love just seeing what random crap you can get away with in the game. And the sandboxing element of it is outstanding. Let alone, the main storyline aspects, the main missions, all of the level of detail and granularity they pumped into all of the different places that you can explore. But yeah, I love Skyrim. I also own a copy of this on PC that I play on my Steam Deck. The only place where I actually don't own Skyrim is the Switch. I really want it because I want to have the Link outfit with like the the Hyrule shield and the tunic and all that jazz. I think it'd be really fun. I'm actually waiting for that to go on sale because I don't want to pay full price for that game. But I've spent so much time with Skyrim. Believe it or not, though, I've never actually completed the mainline story campaign. And I almost got a platinum trophy on this thing on PlayStation 4 too. How do I do that without completing the mainline story campaign? Well, I almost did it. But yeah, Skyrim. I just love this game so much, and it's so fun to just get lost in that world. Now, another game that I experienced in the last 5 years or so. I was a new entrant, a new arrival to this franchise, but I loved it, and that would be Persona 5. I started with Persona 5, and I've started slowly working my way backwards, playing some of the Persona games, as well as the Shin Megami Tensei games. Persona 5, though, I sunk well over 100, 150 hours into this game. I was immediately drawn in by the whole element of, the main protagonist being in school, the mystery surrounding why you're living in a different area of Japan, the thing with your friends going on, and how you have these different realms or worlds where people's consciousness kind of have them reign with their ego as supreme, and having to figure out what's going on. And then you've got these whole elements of like the monsters, the shadows that you have to kind of capture and have them join your team so that you can use them in battle along with your other personas. I love that because it's like an adult version of Pokemon, like a more dark, gritty version of it. Which I love Pokemon, so hey, couple that with this, I love it. Now the soundtrack, the music throughout was outstanding. Still, right now as I talk about this, some of the jingles are just playing in my mind right now, and I actually need to get like a vinyl record of them because they're so easy listening. Um, but yeah, I started with Persona 5, love that game. And then I also fell in love with Persona 4 Golden. Now, admittedly, the conundrum with Persona 4 and Persona 5, in my opinion, It's kind of like the Godfather movies, right? You ask people which Godfather movie's the best. Is it number one or number two? People are divided. To me, these are the Godfather number one and number twos. It really just depends on the day. It depends on the feel. For the longest time, I probably would have told you Persona 4 Golden was my favorite because I love the setting. I love the whole mystery around people like escape, people being thrown into a TV. They're disappearing literally into the television. And every night at midnight, not every night, but nights when it's raining at midnight, if you look at your TV as it's turned off, the midnight channel comes on, and you get to see who the current victim is that has been kidnapped. And if you don't rescue them in time, they ultimately die. So your whole mission is to rescue the people that you see on TV. And man, that really sucked me in. Like, who's the serial killer? How do you find him? Um, how do you stop this from happening? So again, for the longest time, this was my favorite. Probably still is. But some days when I think back on Persona 5, it's Godfather 1, Godfather 2, that's my favorite as well. So really, it kind of just depends on what sort of vibe you're in. They're similar enough that you're going to have a great time. If you're a fan of one, I guarantee you'll be the fan of the other. But it's kind of like, which one do you prefer more? Um, Definitely give it a try if you haven't played it before. I don't think you'll be disappointed. And now another game, I was late to the party on this one. Technically, I'm cheating because this is three games in one, but I'll make it fair and I'll pick the one that I think's the best for you. It's probably gonna be controversial, but this is Mass Effect, the Legendary Edition. So this is all three Mass Effect games, Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3 together. Um, my favorite Mass Effect game, a lot of people love number two. My favorite's actually number one. I think number one was outstanding. I've read comments, people had issues with the combat system or aiming or something like that. I didn't have that issue at all. I loved more or less everything about number one. Um, Number one was outstanding. I love the whole series, to be honest with you. I played through them rather quickly. That's how much I love them. I actually played number one a few times. I played it at least once or twice on this compilation, and I played it again on Xbox 360. And then I just loved the story so much, I continued on with two and three. Three started, I felt like, drag a little bit. It lost my attention in spots. By the time I finished it, I was a little burnt out. I have that Andromeda standalone game they made after all this. I haven't played that one yet. But number one, I could boot that up right now and play it. I'm not gonna lie. But Mass Effect, if you've not experienced it, please check it out. And now the last game among my 20 favorite games of all time, or the best games that I've played. This is Ghost of Tsushima. Wow. When I experienced this for the first time, to quote Superbad, it was like hearing the Beatles. But seriously, you're in feudal Japan. It's kind of like the Shogun era. It's the tail end of it. You feel like the Shoguns are kind of dying out. But basically, you've got Mongol invaders that have come in, and the shoguns of Japan are slowly falling to the Mongol invasion. And you play as a character who was basically adopted slash raised by a shogun who's very honorable. And the whole point is, oh, if we're going to defeat the Mongols, we have to do it honorably. But your character realized it's not really working. So he employs more of a guerrilla warfare style of fighting, using stealth tactics, striking enemies from afar and retreating, doing things that at the time, or at least with that level of thinking, it's dishonorable. So the character basically becomes the ghost of Tsushima, and does a lot of things that people consider to be immoral or very questionable. But from the main protagonist's perspective, it's like it's necessary. Like, if I don't do these things, our entire island, our entire country is going to be captured by the Mongols, and we're going to be in permanent like captivity by them. So where this goes with that, and just exploring the map and learning the different fight styles that you can employ with your blade, and the stealth action and what have you. Outstanding. Outstanding game. I love it. It looks beautiful. And if you haven't played Ghost of Tsushima, I highly recommend that as well. Okay, so there you have it. Those are my 20 favorite video games of all time. Also, the 20 best games that I've ever played. Um, do you agree with this list? Is there anything that you think I'm completely wrong on? Please let me know in the comments. Or if there are other games that are in your top 20 that I didn't include here, let me know that as well. I'm curious to know what else there's out there that I should be playing. As always, I want to thank you so much for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Catch you next time.